Moolala is brought to you by the nonprofit credit counseling agency Credit Canada. Okay, I'll admit, traveling can be riskier than staying at home in your PJs, watching Netflix on your couch. So worth it, though. In addition to the risk of a medical issue when you travel, it can happen. There can also be some risks to your financial security. So, what can you do to protect yourself and your money? Nora Dunn is NerdWallet's financial expert. She is a digital nomad herself, and she's here to share some tips so you can worry a little less on your next trip. Hello there.
Hey, Bruce. And hopefully by the end of this, we will be able to arm everybody with all the tools necessary to not only prepare and protect themselves, but to make sure that nothing bad happens on their next trip.
Yes. What are some of the things at the top of your list? Some of the risks that people face, maybe that they don't even know they face?
Travel inherently subjects us to three different types of risk simultaneously, which is not something that would happen when we're at home. Those risks specifically are loss, damage, and theft. And of course, they're heightened when you travel because, for example, you're packing up all your stuff, you're taking it to different places, you're often out of your comfort zone, and in some cases, you will stand out as a tourist and thus a target. But these three risks of loss, damage, and theft aren't just physical. Yes, you could have your actual stuff stolen, but what we're talking today are the financial risks therein. So for example, if you lose a credit or debit card, that can put you in a financial bind if you haven't set up the right systems to deal with that if that happens on the road. And theft as well, like if you have a pickpocket that takes your wallet, or even the theft of your identity, which is a big one, that can ruin an otherwise amazing trip.
What are some things that people can do to reduce the consequences of losing a credit card while they're traveling?
Couple of different things. I have two suggestions here. The first of which is I suggest that you travel with at least two credit cards. And for that just very reason, if one of them is compromised or even frozen, which can sometimes happen, then at least you have another card to be able to get by in the meantime. So to that end, never keep all of your cards in one place. Because if you keep all your cards in your wallet and then your wallet is stolen, then you have no cards and no way to get by it in the meantime. So take more than one card. So take at least two credit cards and one debit card. That's how I roll. And then also make sure that at least one of those cards is in a completely separate pocket of even a different bag entirely. But also it's very important to prepare for the possibility that you might have to deal with something like this on the road by storing copies of the information that's on your cards that you're bringing. So this would include not only the card numbers, front and back, ideally even photos of the card front and back, but also things like the phone number for your bank. So you have that easily on hand and can call them if there's a complication, like your card being frozen, or if your card is actually stolen or compromised. So
where does that information live for you? Because I can imagine some people would put it on their phone, amazing, but if their purse gets stolen, the cards go and the phone goes too.
You read my mind, Bruce, because there's a lot of different ways people store this information. Physical copies are okay, but they're only as good as where it is you're storing those copies in case they're lost or stolen. A lot of people like to take this information and email it to themselves. I personally have a problem with this because email is notoriously insecure. So if someone cracks your email, they've now got all of your information. So personally, I use a password manager. This encrypts and stores not only all of my passwords in general, but I also keep copies of my ID and credit cards, bank phone numbers, and everything else that I could need. It's way more secure than keeping it in an inbox. And I mean, listen, I could go on about password manager programs. They're fantastic. I did have my purse stolen many years ago when I was in Peru. I had one of these password manager programs, and within a few hours, I had called all the banks, canceled all the cards, and had replacement cards on the way by virtue of the fact that I had all this information stored, prepared, handy, and ready for such an event.
You talk about a VPN. What are the benefits of a VPN when it comes to financial risk?
Airports, hotels, and coffee shops are like playgrounds for hackers. And if you're not masking your internet activities with a VPN, then anyone who has ever been on that Wi-Fi connection, even if it has a password, who knows what they're doing can technically access your information. So when you are in any kind of public Wi-Fi, and this goes for travel and at home, but like I say, airports, hotels, and coffee shops are playgrounds for these sorts of scenarios. Make sure you turn on a VPN. What that will do is it will mask your IP address, so you are not seen as being on that network by anyone who is accessing this network and knows how to get through those back channels.
It's like a cloak of invisibility.
It is. It's like the Harry Potter of financial security while traveling.
What's an anti-theft bag?
I am personally a big fan of using anti-theft gear. And there are a few companies out there that specialize in making these kinds of things, like PackSafe and Travelon. And you can get purses, slings, backpacks, luggage, and more. And what makes them anti-theft are the ingenious features that are built into them that will deter petty theft and crimes of opportunity. So these features include things like slash-proof straps, slash-proof material, an ability to actually take your strap and wrap it around a fixed object and lock it, and zippers that will lock together, or little features that will, in some cases, if they're not like bomb-proof, you can't lock it beyond any, chance of having something stolen, but it can be just enough to deter the normal crimes that you're going to find when you travel, which are crimes of opportunity. If there's a bag, if you're at a restaurant and you have your bag sitting at your foot and it's not secured in any way, then someone might be able to take that. Unless you're protecting yourself, you have the proper anti-theft bags, and you've made sure that you keep your valuables close to you.
I think it is fair to say almost everyone travels with a phone these days. For sure, it should be password protected, hopefully with Face ID or something quite complicated. What other more advanced tips would you recommend to set up your phone so your information isn't compromised if it is lost or stolen?
It's a great question, because more and more we are keeping all of our information on our phones. In the recent years, I've been kind of late to the game with regards to having information on my phones, like banking apps and credit card apps and whatnot, because I've been worried about financial security. But I realized in so many ways, not only is it more convenient, but it can be more secure if you put a few measures in place. So the first thing to do is to make sure that any app that you have that is financial in nature has two-factor authentication put in there. So it's difficult for anyone to log in, but also then secure your phone in general by creating a PIN required to access or unlock your phone, and also set up a remote erase feature. And that's something that you can access from your laptop or tablet that will actually erase your phone in case it's stolen. So when you put all of this together, you will maximize the amount of security that your phone has. But then also too, just in terms of using day to day, going around with your phone, be cognizant of the areas and neighborhoods where, if you're visiting a country where there's a financial disparity, make sure that you aren't overtly walking around with your phone in such a way that someone might be able to take it from you.
I consider myself to be really good at this stuff, and I realize I have a lot of things I now need to do before I travel again. So for that, I am grateful. Nora, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Bruce. It is a great pleasure. I could go on and on about this kind of stuff.
Sure.
I love nerding out on it.
Of course you do. Nora Dunn is the Terrifier in Chief at NerdWallet. She's their financial expert. She's a digital nomad. I'm teasing. Well, my blood pressure is elevated. I know exactly what I need to do. I made notes. I will take the next steps.